Hello, everyone. I am so happy that you can join us for a few minutes. I know everybody's day is very busy. I'm Kyle Wilson from Boogie at the Barn Committee. I'm so excited that we are having an event on April 8th, our Boogie at the Barn over at the Wild Game of Evergreen. We're going to have some fantastic musical performers. We're going to have some great entertainment for that event. And I wanted to spend a few minutes with somebody really, really important to us because our beneficiary for this event is going to be the International Medical Corps. And they are doing some amazing work with the situation that's going on today in Ukraine. And joining us today, we have Todd Berndthart, who is the Director of Global Communications. Thank you for joining us today, Todd.
Thanks for having me, Kyle.
Well, for our viewers that may not be familiar with your organization, could you please share with us just a little bit about the International Medical Corps and the kind of work that you do?
Absolutely. We are a global first responder. We've been around since 1984, currently have about 7,500 staff in 30 countries around the world. We provide aid to people who are affected by disaster, conflict, or disease. And not only do we provide them with medical aid and other healthcare-related services to help them recover from such disasters, but we provide training that helps them become more resilient and able to be first responders themselves.
Well, as best as you know, what can you share with us about the situation, the people in Ukraine are facing right now?
It's a tough situation, as you might imagine. We have a history in Ukraine dating back to 1999. So we've continuously been operating in the country since 2014, since the annexation of Crimea. And what we were doing during that 8-year period was providing medical services and mental health services to people on either line or either side of what was called the line of contact between the two opposing parties in that conflict. So we had mobile medical teams that were going out to different villages, providing medical care, often specialty medical care, to people in those villages who didn't have the opportunity to access such specialty care. So that could be a member of our mobile team could be a cardiologist or an obstetrician, for example. And so we would treat people who had chronic diseases, even people who had trauma caused by the conflict itself. And so we'd be dealing with maybe the visible wounds of war, but we've found that it's equally important to deal with the invisible. And that's why we made sure to provide mental health and psychosocial support to people living in these chronic long-term conflicts. As you can imagine, it's quite a burden and really causes problems, long-term problems for people who are affected by war and other conflict situations like this. Now, given the expansion of the war, we're continuing to provide mental health services in that area through remote means. And then we've also moved our operations to a safer part of the country, to the west, where we are using our logistics and procurement and transportation expertise to get supplies from other parts of the world, from Western Europe, from down in our warehouse in Dubai, transport those supplies to a logistics hub that we have set up in Poland, and then move those supplies across the border into Ukraine to hospitals in Lviv and in Kharkiv and in Kyiv, to make sure that they have the equipment that they need to be able to continue providing treatment to people affected by the war. So a few examples of that would be, we have trauma kits, for example, that we've procured and moved across the border to these hospitals. Each trauma kit gives surgeons the supplies they need to conduct surgeries on hundreds of people. We've moved, tons of equipment across. So we're doing everything we can to provide continuity of care. That's really, really important to us. And that's what we're doing inside the country. As soon as it is safe to do so, we're going to be standing up mobile medical teams, sending those teams out into the villages, trying to provide care to people as well. We're also in the neighboring countries around Ukraine. We're in Poland, Moldova, and Romania, and we're trying to help the refugees that have been streaming across the borders by providing them with mental health services. We're trying to provide them, because many of them are women and children, elderly people, people with disabilities. We're trying to provide them with protection services as well, especially gender-based violence prevention and support services. So as you might imagine, when you have those kinds of numbers of refugees crossing borders, people can get separated from their families. They're dealing with a lot of trauma, of course, from being displaced, forcibly displaced from their homes. So we're trying to help where we can. And not only are we providing those services directly, but we are training others to provide those services. So we have something called psychological first aid that we are able to train other people to implement. And that enables them to help people who are coming across the border. It teaches them to recognize the signs and symptoms of psychological distress, to give people support and initial help, and then to refer them for additional services if they need it.
So Todd, how do the donations that we are trying to raise there for your organization, how do they help you with your efforts with the people in Ukraine?
We couldn't do this without the financial support of people like you and all of your community, really. As I said, we have a lot of experts on the ground who are able to procure supplies, critical supplies needed for people in these situations, and to move them across the border in an efficient way. Getting financial support is the most important way that people can provide us with the ability to do that, because if you're trying to send coats or blankets or canned goods across an ocean and across borders, it's a lot of work and it can be quite expensive. And we find that we can procure those things locally. And because we already have the networks and corridors set up, we can move them across the borders efficiently. So I should have mentioned too that one of the things we're doing, providing to refugees, would be non-food items like blankets and personal protective equipment. Refugees are often put into situations where they are very crowded, and so there's a risk of a spread of infectious diseases. So something simple as some high-quality masks is going to help prevent or reduce the spread of diseases like COVID-19 or measles or any other type of infectious disease you might find in an environment like that. We're also providing people with hygiene kits. As you can imagine, if you're forced to leave your home rather quickly and you're in crowded circumstances, having proper sanitation, having clean water, having the equipment that you need to keep yourself clean and to help keep your family and its surroundings clean can help keep you healthy.
Absolutely. So, Todd, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And we're really looking forward to getting more of the message out about the important work that you're doing, as well as the great event that we're holding, the Boogie at the Barn at the Wild Game of Evergreen here in Colorado on April 8th from 5 to 10 p.m. As I mentioned, we're going to have the Wendy Wu Band, as well as Melanie Fernandi, and the wonderful magician, Mitch Myers, entertaining you as well throughout the evening. All these things brought to you for you to enjoy so that you can come out, enjoy a great evening with everybody, but most importantly, be able to help the efforts of the International Medical Corps and the important work that you just heard that they're doing. I do encourage you to jump over to their website, learn more about them. You can get to theboogieatthebarn.com to buy your tickets. You can also make donations through there that will ultimately get over to our friends here at the International Medical Corps. Thank you so much, Todd, for being a part of this with us. We're really looking forward to supporting all of your efforts.
Well, we really appreciate your support and interest, and wish I could be there in person, but I'll be there in spirit if I can't see it in person.
Well, we'll make sure to enjoy some music and dancing with your spirit there helping us out.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much, Todd.
Thank you.